Hey friends, this video is a tutorial on how to make a thin I-cord using a crochet hook. You're going to need any kind of yarn, a hook size that matches your yarn, definitely measuring tape and scissors, and maybe like a tapestry needle or a darning needle, because presumably you're going to attach this I-cord to a project. So to start, I'm just going to set this stuff aside. To start, measure how long you need the I-cord to be. So if you're making straps like spaghetti straps or for a bag, or this project I'm making ties for a headband, measure how long you need the cord to be. And then you're going to measure out a length of yarn 4 times that length. So for my project, the I-cord, the finished I-cord, needs to be 13 inches long. So I've already done the math. 4 times 13 is 52 inches. So I'm going to measure out 52 inches for my project. But you go ahead, pause the video, measure how long you need your cord to be, and then measure a length of yarn that is 4 times that length. So 4 times whatever the length needs to be. But I've already done some of the legwork, so I'm just going to measure it. Now, you're not going to cut your yarn. You're not going to cut your yarn. Instead, you're going to make a slip knot on your crochet hook. And you can pause the video whenever you need to. Now, to make a slip knot, there are a bunch of different ways. This is my favorite way of making a slip knot. So I hold the working yarn. The working yarn is going down my palm. And then the length that I just measured, I'm going to call this the measured yarn, that's going up my palm. So I like to take my pointer and middle finger. I wrap the measured yarn around and then back over my 2 fingers, so I have an X. And then my hook goes under the first cross and then over the second cross. Then I grab it with the hook and I pull it through. I'm not making a magic circle, so I'm going to release my fingers and pull that knot tight. Now, if you did it a different way, that's cool. Just make sure that when you're holding your hook, the measured yarn is what's closest to you. So there's always kind of a front and a back when you make a slip knot. Just make sure that this measured yarn is in the front. It's closest to you. And your working yarn coming from the skein or cake is what's behind you. It's furthest from you. Okay, now here is the I-cord pattern. You're going to yarn over, drape the measured yarn over your hook from front to back. And then it gets a little finicky, so be patient. You're going to pinch the slip knot and kind of the measured yarn there. Pinch the slip knot. Oh, you know what? I forgot to say it. Get your working yarn set up on your hands. Get your working yarn however you like to hold your working yarn so that your tension is good. Get that set up. And then do the yarn over with the measured yarn front to back. Pinch the slip knot and kind of that measured yarn so it doesn't go all over the place. And you're going to yarn over with your working yarn and pull through both of those loops that were on your hook. And that's stitch 1. And you're going to repeat that over and over again. So yarn over front to back with your measured yarn. You got 2 loops on your hook, and you want to make sure that they're almost the same size. I'll tell you why in a second. Yarn over, pull the working yarn through both loops. That's 2. And do it again. Yarn over front to back, yarn over working yarn, pull through 2 loops. Now the reason why you want to make sure both loops on your hook are the same size is just for tension. If you're noticing that your I-cord is starting to curve, it could be because one of those loops is tighter than the other. Usually the measured yarn that you're draping over is what's tighter. It usually tends to curve this way if you're right-handed. It curves towards the side, whichever side the measured yarn is. So just watch your tension. And you repeat this over and over until you have your desired length. For me, 13 inches in this size 4 yarn. Takes about 70 stitches, 70 of these. I guess we can call them stitches. They're not really chains, although it kind of makes a chain. So I'm going to skip ahead in the video and I'll show you what it should look like at the end. So that was 70 stitches. And this is what a finished I-cord with crochet looks like. It's pretty similar to an I-cord that you would do with knitting needles. It's more of a triangle. Like if you were to slice it, like do a cross section of it, it would be more like a triangle rather than a square. But it still works. It's sturdy as long as you're not, you know, playing jump rope with it. So when you're finished, you have a loop on your hook that's coming from the working yarn. And then you should have a tail, you know, 5 or 6 inch tail. And you want to leave that tail. You want to make sure you have that, because whenever you attach your cord to your project, you're going to stitch that in and it just makes it secure. So I've been working on this little crown headband, and I'll just show you an example of how I like to attach it. So it gets a little finicky, just be patient with yourself. I'm attaching down here at one of the points. So with the loop still on my hook, I'm inserting my hook into my starting spot. And then I'm also going to pull that tail and lay it over my hook. That way it runs along this edge here and I crochet it into the work. So I'm doing single crochets as a border here. So I just pick up with the working yarn and just keep working down this side here. And then you have an attached I-cord and your tail is stitched in. I always like to do a little finishing with my tail. I like to stitch it in real good. This is a headband for kids, so I do not mess around when it comes to finishing, when it comes to tying in my ends. I won't keep going, but you can see that the tail is getting stitched in, right? So there's nothing hanging here. And then the I-cord is attached at the corner. And then I also attach one to the other side. I go down this edge here, and then I have the meat, tie in all my ends. And yeah, that's it. That is a basic crochet I-cord.